Derek, looking back on Saturday's result, how pleased were you with not just the performance and the result, but also the control you showed in that game against Aberdeen?
Yeah, it was a big performance for us. I think there was loads about the performance that I liked, you know, and all aspects, the individual performances from players. I thought it was a really good level. A lot of players playing at the top of their game, but as a team, it was like a real collective. We were out of possession, we were in possession. You know, it was we felt we were really aggressive with our work, but we also played on the back. Our possession stats were good. Our successful passes were good. We arrived time and time again in good areas. You know, there was a lot about the performance we were pleased with. I would have wanted that before the game, and it's exactly what I got. It's the type of team I want us to be, and couldn't be more pleased with the result and the performance. You could have scored more goals clearly, but you know, obviously. Anytime you play against an Aberdeen team, you can get a clean sheet and win the game with 2 goals and have that level of performance. You've got to be pleased.
We just spoke to Kyle there. How much of his contribution to that second goal is what he's good at? I mean, great feet from the throw-in, great strength against Jens, and then the intelligence and composure to play it off to Matty.
Yeah, absolutely. My front two were unplayable at times on Saturday. They were so pivotal in what we were doing. For us to be as dominant as we were at times, you know, our front two had to be the way they were. Both Marley and Vass, even when they're not their best, they're still difficult to play against, and that pleases me. But that in turn allows our wide players to get a lot of service, you know, and connect to play. And our wide players were terrific, Danny and Matty. You know, both a constant threat, both very positive in possession, and both having an impact. So. It was everybody fed off each other on Saturday, and we're going into the game tomorrow night. It's good we've had such a strong performance. We're on a good run, 1 defeat and 14, but the performances last couple of games at Celtic Park in a different way, and then Saturday it pleases me no end. It feels as though our performance levels have picked up as well.
I think you're 16 points better off than this time last season. How satisfying is it to have that clearer measure of the progress you've made?
Yeah, I think it was probably going to be easier this season to make those gains and on reflection of last year, but that's quite a significant increase, and you know, obviously we've still got work to do. It's I feel as though the squad when we put together, there was obviously going to be a different demand on us this season, and it was important we met it, and we're still there. It's still hanging over us. We've still got to go and try and meet the demand that's expected of us, but we're certainly been very competitive this season as a team throughout. You know, there's been no dips, there's been no bad spells. The level of performance has pretty been a consistency throughout. Some games better than others, like everybody else, but you know, there's been we've shown a lot of what I was hoping for this season from this squad, and it's important that we try and continue for improvements between now and the end of the season.
And last one from me, I know it's a different manager in at Rangers now, but how much belief can you take from that 1-0 win that you had here last time out against them?
Yeah, I think you've got to tap into anything when you play against a team like Rangers. You know, they've obviously got obvious advantages over us. I think on that day there was a wee bit of the unknown. You know, I think from us picking up on Rangers' games from their pre-season friendlies, it was our first game, competitive game domestically, and so there was a lot of new signings, and we had to you know, you're getting into a wee bit of thinking, you know, what the style is and what the players were like. You know, I think the biggest compliment I can give the current manager, I think it's like, even with a lot of the players that played that day, I think he's I think there's a far more robustness about Rangers. I think there's a strength about them. There's certainly the added confidence now that winning gives you. So, you know, I think when maybe the performance that day was a wee bit unsure and maybe a bit uncertainty about the Rangers' performance, I think there's a certainty about them now. You think you know what you're going to get. I actually like the way he plays. You know, there's a directness about him, there's a simplicity about him. There's an organisation about them. You can see the detail in their work, in and out of possession. But he's not. They're not. I don't think they think they're anything they're not. They play forward. They ask the question. They put balls in the box. They take shots on for distance. They work you, and you need to be able to stand up to that. And you know, we're expecting a tough game, but equally, I expect Rangers to get a tough game from us if we can be anything like ourselves. And it's important that we are that team. We feel there's a performance in us that can upset Rangers and get after Rangers and cause Rangers problems, and that's really the performance that I'm looking for my team, and seeing where it takes us against a good side and good form.
The other thing is you also go into the game with a lot of belief,
yeah.
A lot of confidence, not just Rangers that are coming here with their tails up.
Yeah, totally. And I say it's never really any barometer for what happens in the performance. Regardless if we're going into the game in good form or poor form. These kind of games stand alone. You've got to make sure you're ready for it, and we will be. I think the players are right, that we're in. A lot of them, their own game is in a good place. There's been a kind of consistency of selection and a consistency of performance, which is great for any manager when you've got that. And we've also got good options for the bench to turn to. So, and I think that's been pretty evident in the last couple of games. When at Celtic Park and against Aberdeen, we finished the game strong as well. And I think that is partly in case of the fitness of the team, the determination of the team, the motivation, but also the options coming for the bench.
You'd said to us a couple of weeks ago, just before that game at Celtic Park, that you're almost like a salesman. Like you're telling your team, I can sell you this idea that you're capable of going and getting a result. Does that apply again?
Yeah, I think the players are confident. I think you've always spoke to Vass already, and all you're trying to do is reinforce a lot of what we've done. I think it's when you play against the better teams in the league, there's obviously a far greater need for concentration and doing the detail right and making sure we're all doing the same thing, and we're never being about a team about individuals anyway. So it'll be the collective performance if we're going to get anything tomorrow night. And I think for us, the players should feel confident with themselves. That belief that you try to sell going to Celtic Park and whatever, I think it's maybe not the same sell at Rugby Park. I think the players are very comfortable here. We play here every second week. There's a kind of familiarity about what we do here, and it's important that Rangers feel us tomorrow night and they see that confident Kilmarnock team. That will be tested tomorrow night, there's no doubt about it, but we've got to try and tap into everything we've got, and a confident Kilmarnock player is what's needed against Rangers.
That first 15-20 minutes is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be bedlam here. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere. It will be, it's a type of game that players want to be involved in. But that, in essence, focuses you. It really puts the demand. The game demands that focus from you, and that real need for concentration. I mean, you're playing against players who want to start quick and come here and show themselves and flex their muscles. You've got to be ready to fight fire with fire, and we want to make sure that we try and own that pitch tomorrow night. Try and get out there and impose ourselves in the game, like we do any home game in particular. But it's some games are easy to do that. Tomorrow night will be a challenge against a strong Rangers team, but we have to have the belief going onto the pitch that we're capable of getting the result. I know we've got the performance in us to win the game, and we have to do so much right to make that sure that's the case.
Derek, just for the season as a whole, fourth towards the end of February, has this gone beyond all expectation when you were sitting in the summer and you were building the squad?
I had an idea where we needed to get to run about top six. I wanted to make sure going into the last couple of games before the split that we were in a position that we could get there. Looking at the evidence of previous seasons, we knew how many more wins we needed. So I thought we were capable of that, but like we say, we've still got work to do to actually achieve that. But we are in a good position, but we've got to take advantage of it now, if you know what I mean, between now and the next 6 games really, because ultimately if we can be a top 6 team, then that's huge progress and a significant nod to everybody at the club, not just manager and players and staff. It's like the board of directors, everybody who's played a part. I'd much rather talk about that if we achieve it rather than the now, but we're certainly, what we have to do is just replicate what we've been doing. It's easier said than done, but we're no asking, there's maybe other teams having to do a bit more than what they've done this season. They're having to find form that they've never been shown. We just need to maintain our form and keep searching for those improvements through performance.
Yeah, and you touched on Michael Beale and Philip Clement. You faced them already at the end, but do you approach this game differently now that it's at Rugby Park than you did in August, with 2 different managers?
No, I think I know Rangers a lot more than I knew Rangers then. There's a lot of new signings, and we were playing the League Cup, so we'd we had to get busy that week as a staff to really hone ourselves in on Rangers' new signings, style of play under Michael. I think when you make so many signings as a manager, as Michael did as well, he was, there's a lot of players there who hadn't played in Scottish football that first game of the season, and for it to be the first competitive game down here, we just wanted to make it a difficult afternoon for them, and that's exactly what we gave them, and we came out the other end with a positive result. So I think the difference this time around, I think there's even some of those players that played that day, they're used to Scottish football, but I think there's a familiarity about this Rangers team for me. I know the manager can change at 9, can change on the sides, but he's been pretty consistent in a lot of positions. So I feel as though that I think I know Rangers game a lot more than we did then.
Yeah, and final one for me then, just
maybe it's better known. Maybe there's
the January signings that Rangers have made though, have you been impressed with them, and also then have you guys been looking at them in depth to try and
our signings?
Rangers signings.
Rangers signings.
The January signings.
Yeah, I think Silva played against us in the 2nd of January. He was one that was in the doors pretty early. Diamande and Cortez, is that all the signings? Obviously they've come straight into the starting 11 of late, and I think any time you can make January signings that go straight into your starting 11, you've done all right, because January's a tough month. You can improve your squad and you can improve your numbers in January a lot of time, and sometimes the January window allows you to kind of compensate for maybe injuries in certain areas. But if you're making signings that go straight into your starting 11, that's normally a good indicator that you've made you're going along the right way. And obviously Diamande and Cortez have both managed to do that. So obviously good players. You don't arrive at Rangers for money if you're not a good player. So but we're happy with our work in January as well. A lot of our lads we signed in January are having to be patient to get in the team because of the form of the team, and we get players in January sometimes for a reason, because they've not been playing at previous clubs and we need to get them up to speed, and that's where we are with Van Veen and Greg Stewart and Gary Mackay-Stevens, young James Balagizi from Liverpool. So, but they've all got an important part to play for us, either from the start or off the bench.
Can I ask you one final quick question? In terms of your management career, how much are you enjoying your time now in this club with this group of players?
Yeah, I think you enjoy coming to work every day, but you enjoyment comes through the performance of your players. Working with your players Monday to Fridays is brilliant anyway. I've always enjoyed that part, but I'm enjoying it a lot more this year because I don't want to watch my team lose games, and I feel there's a bit more, certainly a lot more trust from what I know I'm going to get on a Saturday, and from the players, and we're just kind of feeding off that. So it is really enjoyable. There's no doubt about it. I think you've got to try and enjoy these times, because management isn't always a bed of roses, and you've got to dig deep at times. And the time that we can just be quite consistent with performance and selection, and seeing a happy group of players, a really tight group of players as well. They're all pals, which for so many changes we made in the summer, it's testament to how hard they work at that. So we're enjoying the season. We want more from the season. I expect more from us, and hopefully we can continue that.